All right, so now that we made a website, or at least a very, very low level basic one, let's go back over and check out some of the things that we've already done, not quite like we did in the last video, but more so applied to what we're gonna write in here to, well, make more of our website. So let's go ahead and delete this in here, at least I'm gonna go ahead and delete it. And so we have an H1, so we have a heading tag here, and this, as you could tell, as you could see, is huge up here. Now this is important because the search engine browser, that whole concoction of technology, is going to think, oh, this is my first website. When someone types in their first website, or maybe how to make a website, although yours most likely won't appear at the top, it's going to use its technology to kind of group and aggregate certain kinds of information together. So if you had something like I like beer up here, when someone searches for beer, you host this online. Let me bring this here. I like beer. Yours most likely won't appear at the top, but when someone does look for like an alcoholic drink, this is going to be lumped together because this H tag is going to help guide that whole kind of process. But in case you didn't know, there's multiple different kinds of heading tags here. So we could do H2, and we actually go on for quite a while. And yes, I am using Emmet, so I'm just doing H3, H4. Like I said, it's all built into Visual Studio Code, so feel free to use it because trust me, after a while you're not going to want to type this all out. This is in H3. This is an H4. Come over here, refresh. And we see that they get progressively smaller as they go down, and everything gets shoved to the next line. We could come down here and we could add a paragraph tag. And this is stuff that we've already done, nothing new. And we just see that these are, you're going to use these quite a bit. I use H1, H2, H3, sometimes H4. It all really depends. And then the paragraph tag I use that one quite a bit. So, like I was saying in the previous video or videos, I forget how I'm going to actually order these out. These tags are moving everything down to the next line. But what if we wanted to do something inline, something semantically to the text that we're using? Well, we could do that quite easily. Let's start here with a B. I can't type today. And then let's go ahead and delete this here. And we see that is right here. This is bolded right here. The I is a bit thicker because I think it's more wider of a letter, at least the default font on here. But this is a way that you could bold stuff. Now, if we wanted to bold everything together, we could do something like this. We could come in here and we could just delete the opening and closing tag. Come inside here. And of course, on my IDE, it takes everything here or when I start a tag, it finishes off for me. And now we have this entire paragraph tag right here bolded. And that is one way you could change some text on a page without affecting anything else really around it. As you could see here also, if we were reflecting and meditating upon that tree from the previous video example, that this bold tag, this B tag here, is a child now of the paragraph tag because it's nested on the inside. But what if we wanted to do something different, something more than just this? Think of Microsoft Word or Google Docs. Bold isn't the only thing that we have the option to do. So if we come in here and drop an I in here, we would see that this is italicized. Typically, you use this if you want to put emphasis on something, maybe a news source, a book, something along those lines. And those are the two ways that you could change the text inside of a paragraph tag to give it a bit more emphasis. Now, another thing that we could do with text, which is kind of interesting, is let's go ahead and make another. Actually, you know what? Let's make a H3 tag, because I think this will emphasize the point a bit easier for everyone. We now have an H3 tag here that says, let's make this up and make this down. Now, what am I going to do here? I'm going to show you the superscript and subscript tag. Once again, it's just like the italics or the bold. You could just slap it inside of a header tag or a paragraph tag, and it'll do the rest for you. So let's come in here. We'll take the word up. We'll put it right there. And for down, we'll write out sub. Oops. And we could see that it changed it a little bit. You could see a little bit of shifting going on there. But as we read from left to right, let's make this up. So now it's superscript, and make this down, which is subscript right here. So that's a pretty neat feature if you're going to use something like a formula or maybe a trademark symbol you want to put down there, or some kind of formulation or just general information you need to change to have things be floating above or below your typical line when it comes to the text as it appears to the user. So for this example, what I have right here is that I want to talk to you about white space. Now, I have an H3 tag right here. If I hit save, it comes back as auto formats. But what I want to show you is that if I were to do something like this and move it all the way down here, and we hit refresh, we would see that even though there's this massive gap, I hit enter a bunch of times, your text is going to appear as if it's a string of words coming in here with a space in between. Now let me tighten this up here. And that's kind of a nice thing for you, because sometimes you'll slap the space bar, there'll be some kind of error. So it's going to keep this word space kind of format for you, which is really nice. So let's come down and let's make an H4. We have this. Now we have the space here. But sometimes in your code and your website, you need a little bit more of a space. Why is that? Well, sometimes you'll have a button up here. You'll have some text, you'll have an image, some color, and you don't want this text you have down below as tightly associated with it in a visual manner. You need to shove it a little bit farther away. Now, there's many ways you could do that. CSS is going to be upcoming later, but let's come down here. I really need a new keyboard, or just to clean off my desk here. So now we have this break element here, and so you can see that we now have a much larger gap going on, which is quite nice. It just jams a bunch of space in there for us. So now, rather than maybe dealing with CSS, maybe a simple solution you can have is, well, I need a bit of a gap here, so let me just force some white space in between. Another really helpful type of tool that you will see as you go on in your web career is the horizontal line. And this is kind of like the white space, except there's more emphasis on adding this solid line all the way across. Sometimes you want to convey with the breaking tag here a gap in between, but sometimes you want more of a strong visual cut between the top and the bottom tags that you're using. And in that case, you may want to consider using the horizontal line.